Just a reminder that the meeting is being recorded. I will call the meeting to order at 7:03 p.m. This is the January 24th, 2022 meeting of the Wakefield Commission on Disabilities. And this meeting is going to be focused on the Intelligent Lives film. Let's look at my... Lois, do you have the flag? There you go. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our mission is to address the needs and concerns of our disabled residents and provide their full participation in the activities and services of Wakefield. I do not see anyone on from the public. So first order is we will approve the meeting minutes from January 3rd. One comment that I have, and Darcy, thank you for taking the minutes for us tonight. In the January 3rd meeting minutes, we had mentioned that our next meeting was going to be on the 17th of January, but then of course we couldn't host it that evening because it was a holiday. So if we could just make the change that it was on 1/24. Does anybody else have any comments regarding those minutes? Otherwise, can somebody make a motion to approve them? Lois, thank you. And can someone second that, please?
A second.
Thanks, Lorna. Okay, so let's get right into it. I hope you can see my screen. I'm going to minimize all of you so I can read it. Just starting from the top, I know Lois has been having, she's gotten one quote and she's been having difficulty getting anybody else to call back. So I'm going to give a try this week to those two places as well, Lois, to see if we can't at least get one more quote so that we can compare the price and feel comfortable with the $200. And I believe I sent everybody, Jen McDonald from the town had done a mock-up of some samples of what the, we'll call it the tablecloth, could look like. And she used not the town seal, but the, the depiction of the bandstand. And of course she had it set up some different ways. She had a white tablecloth, a red tablecloth. I did go back to her and asked her if she could do a mock-up with the seal so we could see that as well, but I haven't heard from her. So I'll give her a call this week because I did send her the questions that we wanted on the registration form as well, and she didn't acknowledge receipt of any of this, so I'm kind of concerned that maybe she didn't get it or maybe she's just really busy, but I'll just give her a call to make sure that she has everything. But when people looked at what she mocked up, do you have any comments on this tablecloth? Does it, look fine? I think the other comment she made to me that I conveyed to all of you was she did not recommend that we put the QR code on the tablecloth because she said with it blowing around, it's not going to sit flat enough for a phone to be able to scan it. So her recommendation is we just have something on the table laminated with the QR code, which I thought was a good idea. So, and that way, if the code changes, we can easily make that change, and it's not on the tablecloth permanently. And she also did change the URL for us. So when we do the QR code, the new URL will bring it to to some, I believe, to what we'll say Commission on Disabilities now, even though that's not official. It will bring us to that page where she will change those words. So she doesn't have to, nothing else will need to be changed. Does that all make sense?
Marie, was there something that somebody said that it had to go through another layer of approval in order for the name to be officially changed?
Yes, I guess town meeting has to be certified by the state. I figured the AG's office, I think she said, and that hasn't been done yet. So until that is done, nothing about town meeting is official, including name change. But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't move forward to get the banner done correctly, or set any of this up correctly. I understand we can't change the website and things like that, and let's hope this all goes through before April. Now, we'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it, but we're certainly gonna proceed with calling ourselves Commission on Disabilities for as much as we can at this point until it becomes official. Okay, so the draft of invitation to businesses. So Lavon did the flyer and she made some updates. Let me see if I can quickly find that. And I drafted an email. I actually sent an email to Biddy and Bose, and we can, I'll forward that to the others who need to get out letters to the businesses, and feel free to modify it in any way, but at least you don't have to start from scratch. It's something. But let me see if I can find. I don't know, me, I start moving around in here, and then the next thing we know, I can't see anybody. Let's see. Okay, here's the second flyer. Now, you probably can't see the flyer, right? You're still seeing my spreadsheet. Okay, how do we do that? Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be successful with doing this. Stop video. Stop share. Okay, let me share again. Okay. Okay, so here's the flyer that Lavon updated. I think we changed the time 6:30 to 9. So she has the QR code to scan to register for the event. And we'll have to work with Jen so that scans into the registration form where people can fill it out. I'll also talk to Jen about the COVID safety protocols, if there are any that we're going to need to follow. I'm sure mask requirement, but I don't know about the social distancing. I'm honestly not sure what they're going to make us do. Does anybody have any other questions in regard to that?
I just sent Lavon this evening the Communitas logo just to
Oh, correct.
somewhere on there.
Yes,
I had forgotten about it until a couple of days after we talked about it at the beginning of the month, but just as
Okay.
our co-sponsor.
Yes.
But
And I mentioned that to Jen as well, but I'm going to make myself a note just so that we're sure that on everything we send out, that is included.
Marie, I'm thinking it's getting a little crowded on here, so that if, to put the Communicas logo, maybe where that little, I don't know, that, the three people with little talking bubbles above their head.
Yep, yep.
Maybe replace that.
Or the film over here, we can take that off.
Yep, either one. I wouldn't
Or-
add something else and not take something out.
I
Yeah.
think we're talking, I kind of like the film logo just because it reinforces that this is a movie.
Yep, okay.
But the people, I don't know, yeah, I don't think that's that important. The people on the right-hand side.
Okay, so,
I mean, that's just my opinion.
I agree.
okay. And we, COVID safety protocols will be in place. Maybe some of that other stuff can come out. We know there'll be a mask requirement, but again, I don't know if social distancing will be required, but we'll figure all of that out. Okay, so now let's go back to, does anybody have any other questions on that?
Will you send out the updated version and the email that you said that you sent to Biddy and Bose?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. I haven't done what I was supposed to do yet.
That's okay. I should have sent you as soon as I sent out that email, I should have sent that to you.
Well, and then I couldn't remember it. Now I see it on the spreadsheet. Garrett is somebody that works there. I know I'm going to talk to the manager, but is there also?
Yes, so Garrett he's a young man that we are aware of from Wakefield that works at Shaw's, but not, what I said to Biddy and Bose was, let me find that, I can read that to you. We're looking for an individual. We're looking for a representative of management to be present as well as one of their employees. And I said to him, you pick the employee, right? It's going to be a panel. We're going to give you the questions ahead of time so that you and the employee can prepare responses. But, you choose an employee who you think will be comfortable in that environment and be able to answer questions and, obviously be upbeat, because that's what we're hoping for anyways. Okay, and just to let you know, Biddy and Bose is responsive. They're on board. Both owners right now are planning to be there with their employee of choice. Okay. So basically what I said is the Wakefield Commission on Disabilities, and I mentioned Lorna because her son works there too, for which Lorna Davison Connolly, Ashley's mom, and I are both co-chairs, is hosting a screening of the documentary Intelligent Lives, followed by a panel discussion featuring local business leaders that have made the hiring of people with disabilities a priority. And that was pretty much lifted from the flyer that Levon created. We would be honored if Biddy and Bose Boston would be represented on our panel. Our intention is to have both a member of management as well as an employee with disabilities from several local organizations. And then I go on to describe Intelligent Lives again from the flyer. Intelligent Lives features young adults who have intellectual disabilities as they challenge perceptions of intelligence while navigating high school, college, and the workforce. The screening is planned for Monday, April 11, 2022, from 6:30 to 9 at the Galvin Middle School Auditorium in Wakefield. The event is free to the public and is sponsored by the Wakefield Commission on Disabilities and Communitas Wakefield. The main goal of the event is public awareness and education, as well as to encourage more of the Wakefield business community and that of surrounding communities to employ people with disabilities. The film is about 70 minutes long with an hour planned for the panel discussion. Below is a link to the trailer for the film. We are working on the panel discussion questions and will provide them ahead of time for both the employer and the employee to review and prepare responses. If you have ideas surrounding panel questions or other points that might be pertinent to this discussion, please do not hesitate to contact me. And then I asked them to please respond back to me no later than February 11th as to whether they would participate, because, you know, we need to know. If somebody doesn't want to do it, that gives us time to reach out to another organization. You know, I just felt for planning purposes, we should know who we're gonna be working with. Okay, so we know we've got Biddy and Bose, Paula Thompson. Paula, why don't you go ahead and explain, you know, who you invited and why, and
Sure. Thanks. I invited Jeff Gentry. He is a person who knows a lot about employment for people with disabilities. He used to be at Triangle in Malden, and now he's with like Jewish Family Services, but he's just really passionate about people with disabilities having jobs. I find him really inspiring. And I just feel like I'm a pretty hard judge on people just, you know, in being involved in the work on a daily basis. And he is available to come. And I thought that he could really kind of either do talk at the beginning or talk at the end to kind of, you know, get everybody really enthused about people with disabilities working, or kind of at the end. We can definitely, I'll be there, but we can obviously have other people from Communitas there to talk about kind of Wakefield specific employment. But I think that if there's any employers in the audience or people who, you know, don't know all of the values of hiring people with disabilities, I feel like if anybody can convince them, Jeff is the guy. So.
Yeah, that was a good choice. I agree. I'm familiar with him as well, and I think he'll be a good person to drive the conversation, and just has a wealth of knowledge, especially if employers have questions that maybe Biddy and Bose or Shaw's or Whole Foods can't answer, has never experienced or whatever. I think that Jeff will definitely be very helpful with that. So, yeah, he was a good choice, and I'm glad you thought of that.
Can we put his name someplace on this spreadsheet so we know how it's spelled?
It's Jeff, and then it's Gentry, correct, Paula?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, let me.
Jeff?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and let me
And is
add.
it Jewish Child and Family Services?
Yes.
Okay.
I think he was at one point, I don't know that he wasn't the executive director at Triangle, but he definitely had a executive position there, very hands-on in regard to employment. And then when he left there, I think he went off and did some private consulting for a while, so I didn't know that he was with the Jewish Community Center, but that's good to know. Okay, I'm going to put accepted here. Okay, so Paula and Darcy, I sent you that email to Biddy and Bose so that you would have it.
So is he out of Boston?
Boston, yeah.
Jeff Gentry,
JVS Boston.
JBS Boston, Director of Disability Services is his
Okay.
title, I think.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, as far as getting access to the commission's funds, Sherry Dalton said that any expenses we incur, the invoices should go directly to her and she'll make sure they get paid. So, okay, so the next item is the bookmark. No hurry on that, Janice, but I was just curious if you've,
Well, my question is, what do folks want on it? Do you want, I was thinking whatever the logo is that ends up on the tablecloth, either the bandstand or the Wakefield logo, that would be replicated on the bookmark. And then Commission on Disabilities and the QR code. And it's got two sides to it. So do we want anything on the other side? Do we want something about intelligent lives? Do we want?
Could the mission statement be put on there?
okay, that's probably a good idea.
Because hopefully we'd be using these bookmarkers not just for the Intelligent Lives, but
Right.
for other events too.
Can anybody
Right.
think of something else that you'd like to see on there? Do we want a quote or the mission statement, the name of the commission, the QR code, whatever logo ends up being on the tablecloth? I think matching that would be a good idea.
Yeah, I was wondering if you wanted to look at that little yellow resource book that Lois had provided us all to see if there's good information. Yeah, that's a good point. If it's going to be two sides, we definitely need to think of some pertinent information. Why don't we, let's take that for an action. If we can each kind of think about, maybe we Google,
Perhaps
there
we
was
can
maybe
look
a
at
quote.
the different disability groups to see if there's any quotes from any of those groups. I mean, the only one that comes to mind is from Deaf Blind. Helen Keller once said that blindness separates people. How is it now? Blindness sets people from things, separates people from things, yet deafness separates people from people. That was a quote from, well, semi-quote, I'm sure pronounced better than what I did, from Helen Keller. So that kind of like includes two different, actually three different disability groups, the vision, auditory, and vision and auditory. And those are like three separate communities almost. And I'm just wondering if there's other organizations for different disabilities that perhaps might have a quote that we can be quoting something on it, representing the different disability groups.
How about, I'll find some quotes, because I really like doing that. And I'll give us a medley and we can choose, I think choosing one, because it's not that big, it's just a bookmark.
Right.
Is it Jeffrey Dart, who was the disability advocate? I'm forgetting what it was, but it was on the side of my file cabinet forever at work, but now we don't have anything there. So anyway, I'll find some things and it will be fun to do that. And I'll present them, I'll write them down and we can send them out to folks and people can think about it or add to it.
okay.
And then we'll pick one.
Right, and I'll go look at some brochures, I'll Google some brochures that different organizations have published, just to see what kinds of things are included in those brochures to give us an idea. But here, Janice, this is a quote that I keep here that I took from work because, of course, you know, there's a big push in the big corporations for diversity and inclusion.
Yeah.
And I came across this, and it says, you know, they're defining diversity and inclusion. Diversity is being invited to the party. Inclusion is being asked to dance.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the author is unknown. That's so, yeah. My son Matt said to me, "Mom, that's corny." And I said, well, for people who don't get it, that's a simple way of explaining it.
Well, it's also that, you know, the picture of the folks all looking over the fence.
Yep.
It has people of different heights and somebody using a wheelchair.
Wheelchair, yeah.
And then it has, it was doing equity versus equality versus equity.
Right.
And then it showed all different platforms so that everybody could see equally over the fence. I'll find some things.
Yeah,
I like that one
that's,
though. I like the inclusion is being asked to dance. I think that's also kind of pertinent to what we're talking about. And it's cute.
I think it is.
It's okay if it's corny.
Yeah, that's what I said too. It gets the point across. Okay, so I don't know what I was looking at that made me think of this. When you come into the high school and you're going to the theater, you have you walk down a couple of long hallways, and before the theater doors open, people are standing in a line out there, and they have some art on the wall or whatever. And I wondered, now the Galvin setup is a little different, where people are going to be, potentially standing in that lobby area. Do we want to have some, I don't want it to get too fancy, but just some laminated signs that have some facts about employment? Because in Intelligent Lives, I was going through a lot of the documentation that they included in there, and there are a lot of facts about employment in regard to people with disabilities, and I wondered if, and not just facts about employment, but also just facts about correct usage, right? I wrote it down somewhere. Hopefully I'll find it. I was just on some site and reading, why they're recommending you don't say people with special needs anymore, and why you are referring to them as people with disabilities. Janice, you probably have access to a lot of this stuff, but I just thought educational things, especially if people are just hanging around out there for a bit before they come in. Just little tidbits of information that are easily read and might comprehend it and might stick with them before they actually get into the auditorium.
I think that would be inviting and fun. I like it.
Or the other thing I thought of is if we feel like people aren't going to be standing out there for a very long period of time, that we just print them out on pieces of paper and leave them on the seat. So when people go to sit down, there's little tidbits of information. Everybody gets a little different tidbit of information. I don't know. Because we're not serving food, we're not, we're not serving drinks, so.
Yeah, we could hand them out as they go into the auditorium, because I'm not too sure we can put them on the seats in the auditorium. The auditorium seat just might automatically.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
good point, yep. Yeah, just idea. So I guess everybody start, as you come across quotes or whatever, just start jotting things down, and we'll just compile a bunch of them. If we can't use it for this, we may have another occasion.
And maybe, that's a good idea, like Lorna's saying, give it out as people come in, kind of as part of the program. You know, maybe like the program is on the front with the date and who's speaking and all that kind of stuff. And then on the back, it's different employment facts and facts about people with disabilities and
Yep,
kind of
that's another good idea.
that person first language.
I wasn't thinking about a program, but you're right. We probably should hand something so that people will know, have the name of the companies, Jeff's name,
Right.
just,
I think about that. It's on the list.
did I? Okay, there you go. Oh, there it is. A program for event. Okay. Okay, and as I said, I did create the registration form. Jen McDonald my blood pressure went down so much when she sent me that email that said, I'm happy to create it for you, just send me the questions. And I was like, thank you so much. So I have done that. And she seems very on board to helping us post it on the town's Facebook page and Twitter account and whatever else they have. So that probably should be our first order of priority, is getting that flyer, where we want it to be, and then we'll get that off to her. So I think we talked about vendors, right? And that just seems like more complication than we want at this point, having any kind of vendors in the lobby.
Can you think of what you might be interested? Are you thinking like Triangle or?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but I feel like we're not going to have a lot of time. We're not going to have a lot of time. I guess I'm a little concerned about the time, right? This film is 70 minutes, and then, we don't want to rush through the panel piece either.
We could set up a table that's like a drop. I think if Communitas going to have a table, which I think would be great given their involvement.
Sure, we could, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or we could, just like host a table and have information about Communitas and Triangle and Elliott and the other Riverside.
And we could see, people could do a drop off if they had materials, if they had a flyer, rather than having to do a table and stand at the table all night. Could have a drop off table for any materials that they wanted to bring.
Okay. So, did we say whether this can be videotaped or not? Probably we did not. We thought WCAT could not be there. Is that correct? Okay. Okay. Copyright issue. Okay. And could this possibly be virtual? So we're going to be using Paula's laptop to actually run the film. I'm trying to think. The only way it could be virtual would be if, I don't know, how did we do that, Paula, when you showed us the film?
I think we could do it if everybody who registers gives us their email address, because then we would just send them a link, like a Zoom link through the town so they could join.
So, but I'm thinking, let's say we find that we're not getting a lot of participation because people are anxious to come sit in that Galvin auditorium as a group, but they're interested in seeing this and blah, blah, blah. Just like we're having a Zoom meeting now, is there a way where we could possibly be there physically? That's what I'm thinking, WCAT, I don't know if they would have to tape it, but could they be there showing it live?
Oh, that's a good idea. That makes sense, just like they do the town council
Right.
meetings and the school board meetings. Yeah. I think if it's live, I think it's just the recording piece. And we only got around the recording piece because it was because of the open meeting law.
Right. Okay, so then, put me down for the action to call WCAT. There was a woman that I worked with a year or so ago who did the, she went out to post and worked with them to, you know, do a little piece on that program. She was very amenable to doing that, so I'll connect with her. I don't recall her name, but I'll go through my records and find it and, you know, explain to her what we're doing and seeing if they would be willing to be present to allow us to offer it virtually.
I think that's a great way to try it. You know, it's not going to hurt to ask.
Okay. Okay, and when we get close, I'll talk to Bill next time. He and I are chatting about the extra handicap parking. That's not, we don't really have to plan much for that. Okay, so I got, this was some of the notes for registration. This was a list of invitees, so let's just go over that. We want to extend an invitation to the Council on Aging. Bella will help us with the communication at the high school. Jen McDonald's going to handle, I'll just write her name here, the town social media. Okay, each of us will do it, you know, advertise on our own personal social media. Invitations to the Commission on Disabilities in surrounding towns, the Chamber of Commerce here in town, the town itself. You know, I'm looking at Wakefield, town of Wakefield, to be an, you know, potential employer. So I'll make sure Steve Mayo gets a personal invitation. Another person I thought of is David Hoff. He lives in Melrose, but he works for the Institute of Community Inclusion at UMass Boston, and he's run a lot of programs that I've participated in, so I'm going to send it to him for him to get out to his community and see where that brings us. The Wakefield Special Ed PAC, we'll put a piece in the item. I think at our last meeting, we talked about the individual living center that covers Wakefield. Did we say that was Salem? Do you remember?
It was.
Okay.
I can find that information.
I definitely think we should reach out to the Voc. You know, especially with this new school, I think that we need to stay in their line of vision as that commences. I think principal is Mr. DeBarry. And my husband made, you know, Paul Brodeur, who's now the mayor of Wakefield, Melrose, is very supportive of things like this. He's been very supportive of Vivian Bose. He and I have, you know, have met in my role as, you know, as liaison for the town for the buddy walk. So I think notifying him, he'll reach out to, you know, his peers that, and my husband said that the town manager of Linfield, he seems to be very inclusive as well. He posted something along those lines. And my husband responded to him, and he responded back to my husband, and he said to me, I think he would be a great person to just make him aware. So anybody else want to add to the list of?
Well, if we're doing Paul Broder, then I think we should do our 2 reps that we have that cover both parts of Wakefield. They tend to like to show up at events, so they get reelected.
Yep, okay. So we'll get their names out of the paper. Is it Donald Wong? Is he one of them?
Yes.
Yeah, and then I think it's Lipper Garabedian is
Yes.
the other one.
Yep, you're correct.
Maybe Jason Lewis too, just as our senator. I feel like
Good
he's
idea.
really good with disability issues.
Okay. Any other people have other suggestions?
Well, I'm just wondering if we're reaching out to the mayor of Melrose and the mayor of Linfield, should we just do the other surrounding towns just to let them know what's happening? Where I don't know if there's a mayor of Stoneham or if there's
I think it's town manager.
in Reading.
So,
And Wong covers Saugus too, so.
okay, they're all, yeah, but they're all,
So that would be hitting all the towns that actually touch Wakefield.
okay, got it.
I don't know, I mean, does that make sense at all?
Yep. Lois, did you have something?
Donald Wong.
Yep, we got him, right here. Got him. Okay, that's it. Doing good. All right, I already worked up the panel discussion. So, I don't know, can anybody else think of, I feel once we get, Paula, you were gonna reach out to Whole Foods, correct?
Yes, and I did it.
That's all right. All right, so yeah, if we can get Whole Foods and Shaw's on board, I think, what are we doing for time? Maybe we can spend our last 15 minutes looking at some of refining these questions a little bit. Because then that would be the next thing. Once we get the companies on board, we'll get these questions off to them. I wonder if, how did you leave it, Paula, with Jeff? I'm wondering if he's ever done anything like this before and if he can, give us some guidance, like what worked, what didn't work.
Absolutely, I can reach out to him. I said we were meeting tonight and that I would, get back to him with some feedback.
Okay.
So I can certainly ask. I'm sure he's done some panels in the past.
Yeah, I'm just curious if he, just what his experience has been, and just to give us some guidance. We don't want to, reinvent the wheel if he's, if he found something that really worked great.
Right.
Lois, you go ahead.
Marie, I'm sorry.
No.
I'm not sure whether you realize that Maureen Butt is the liaison to the CDI. So you
Yeah,
might
good point. Good point.
notify her.
Yep, I'm going to add her right here. Actually, Julie Galvin, I had bumped into her when we were doing the COVID clinics for the kids a couple of months ago and kind of gave her a heads up about what we were doing here. But I think that I should, at this point, should send Maureen an email and let her know where we are with this, and just, give her more details so that she's aware. because, you know, it will only benefit us if she decides to, you know, maybe bring it up at one of the town council meetings. So, thank you, Lois. That's a good suggestion, and I'll definitely do that.
Just in addition, I just wanted to let you know that in April, she will be taking over for Julie. So she'll be the
She'll be the chair. Okay.
chair, so it's important to get to her.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think they're having a meeting tonight, so, right now, so, I can send her an email, or I can talk to her, that type of thing, so.
Yes, when you see her, talk to her.
What was the date of the program? April
It's the 11th.
11th, that's what I thought, 6 to 9?
I think we said 6:30 to 9.
Okay. And tell me, did you tell me that it was gonna be in the big auditorium, right?
Right, at the Galvin.
Okay, because okay. And then you already know about the handicap, there's only 2 handicap places, so we need to make sure
Yeah,
outside, so, you know,
yeah, let me,
because people will be, okay.
okay, so currently, okay, got it, only 2 spaces at the Galvin currently.
Oh, the 11th, there is a town council meeting.
I'm sorry, when is that?
The 11th is a town council meeting also.
Well, yeah, well, it is what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
there's gonna be a conflict with something, so
Is that gonna be a problem with WCAT?
probably. Well, maybe not. I mean, maybe not. They have mobile cameras. If they can find somebody who's willing to come, maybe one of the kids from the high school who's in the audiovisual class. But yeah, we weren't thinking about that, but it is what it is.
So I can let Maureen know, and then she can probably put a couple of things in there, possibly other people to have at that Intelligent Lives.
Maybe we'll get some press coverage from the item. I mean, yeah, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
Okay, so Darcy, you want to just go over the actions so we're all clear on who's doing what before moving forward? Doesn't necessarily have to be for our next meeting, but
So Marie, you're gonna update the flyer with the Communitas logo?
with that, I'll forward to Levon.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, we'll have Levon do that.
okay. Janice is working on the bookmark,
Okay, yep.
and she's looking for a quote to promote equity for that.
Some quotes.
Okay, so for all of us, that's an action. If you come up with some quotes or just things you see that would be pertinent, send them off.
And then, Marie, you're gonna reach out to the mayor of Melrose? Linfield? Surrounding towns?
Yes, I'll draft an email that we can send out.
Paul Broder is Brodeur. No A, just so you know.
Okay.
I'll try to go on, the websites of other towns and get that information of who the town managers are and get that to you so that, you don't.
All right, well, if I draft a letter that we, maybe we just divide and conquer and,
Yeah,
everybody, depending on, everybody send out a couple
right,
of emails.
right.
And then Paula's gonna reach out to Jeff Gentry about if he has feedback on questions for the panel.
Okay.
I don't know if there's anything else other than things that we already knew about. I'm reaching out to Shaw's and Paula's reaching out to Whole
Whole
Foods.
Foods, right. And yeah, I think that probably covers it. All right, I feel like we're making good progress.
Yeah.
So for our next meeting, which is,
In 2 weeks.
yep,
Right? Tonight.
yes. We'll do another update for Intelligent Lives, but let's also start, and you can send me emails, we don't have to wait for the meeting. We want to respond to town council in regard to that piece in the paper that I sent the email out on, in regard to, the definition of housing for all. So if people have ideas or inputs or, points that you feel that it's important that we make, can we start to just formalize, just jot down thoughts and get them to me, and I'll craft something, and then we can, kind of go back and forth with, with our comments. But let's, I don't want too much time to pass, because then it becomes not, so much time has passed, it's not relevant anymore, so.
And what was this letter in the mail,
It was, all right, I'll stop sharing. At the last town council meeting, where they discussed Vision 2030, they talked about the vision statement that they wanted to go forward with, that, that the consultant that they worked with crafted. They crafted a vision statement based on all the input. They had 3 meetings of the public who.
I was involved in that.
Right, you were on, I was on one of those calls, and the question came up about one of the statements that they wanted to include in the vision statement was housing for all. And one of the town council members wasn't clear on what the definition of that meant, and was concerned about adopting that statement because he was concerned that if we were talking about housing prices and attempting to bring the price of housing down, that was unrealistic. And so what I'm suggesting is that we we define housing for all from our perspective as representing individuals with disabilities and what we feel that should mean. And, that's all I'm suggesting, not saying I'm not saying what's already been stated is wrong. I'm just saying that this is an opportunity where there seems to be confusion on what that definition is. We should go forward and define it from our perspective for our constituents. So I'm just asking people to, come up with ideas. I know Paula and I have talked a little bit because there are a couple of organizations out there whose focus is on housing for the disabled, and there's a lot of creative ideas out there. And I was just reading some of it tonight, and it's really creative, and I think that this is an opportunity to educate people because, people they know what they know, and there's just so much more to it, and we should take the opportunity to get that information out there publicly. Because a lot of it has to do with zoning, as Janice had brought up before, and
I loved the discussion that you all had the last time about different kinds of suites and living situations. I was with a friend over the weekend whose nephew is now, an adult. He's not too much younger than I am. And I said, the folks were talking about this accessible suite that could really make somebody's life so much better and less lonely. So she has, anyway, I thought it was a great idea, and I would love to have more discussions about that.
Yeah, there's just so much information. I don't know, I have so many pieces of paper in front of me but before we got on this call, there's a couple of websites. An autism group has a website. I had them up. Let's see if I can quickly find them. Autism Housing Pathways. So that's one website. Massachusetts has a listserv. It's called Mass Transition to Adulthood. It's a Facebook page. And I'll send you out the links to some of this. There was just a site I was looking at before we got on, and there are places all across the country that these people are aware of and are sending links to about all kinds of creative housing. And I find it fascinating. I'm just fascinated because I had no idea. Affordable Housing Complex in Canton features apartments outfitted with, I'm just opening it here, outfitted for adults with developmental disabilities. So there are places that have, we're not mentioning things that are just somebody's dream. We're going to talk about things that are actually being done. And I think that is just important for people to be educated about. When we talk about that big, huge complex at the head of the lake and people are all wound up about that, well, if a bunch of our guys are living in there, they don't drive, so there's no traffic, right? No extra cars.
Hey, I got a question.
Sure.
How about inviting the planning board, the Board of Appeals, and housing?
So planning board, what was the third one you said?
Board of Appeals,
And
planning board.
And housing commission.
And housing. Yep.
I can't see this happening in Wakefield. I really can't.
Oh, no, it's never say never.
We'll work on
I
it.
didn't.
So this was the quote that Ann Santos mentioned in that town council meeting that I'm talking to about. It's always impossible until it's done. She said that was Nelson Mandela. There you go, Janice, another one for your list.
What was
Never-
it? What-
It's always impossible until it is done. When there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah,
When there's a mother involved, it will get done.
true, but we'll see. But I would try those boards, somebody, somebody that's on the boards.
Yep, I'm adding it to our list.
I mean, it doesn't have to be for right now, but before too long when
Right.
the 20, 30 people, figure
It's all
out.
about education right now. It's all about, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So, okay, so I think this was very productive. Does anybody have anything else that they want to comment on?
I think those books that I got for you guys were very helpful.
The little yellow books?
Yes.
Yes, they have a ton of information in there. And
So,
I'll use those as we, to find the different disability points of contact from the surrounding towns.
right. I gotta look at that myself. I haven't looked at it recently, but I have looked through it. So,
Okay, so if no one has anything else, does somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
adjourn.
Okay, thanks, Lois. Second? Thank you, Lorna. Okay, we're going to adjourn the meeting at 8:05. Thank you all. I really appreciate you taking this extra night to do this, and we'll see you all on the 7th. See you
Okay.
soon. Thank you.